Welcome. Please comment where you're watching from in the world. My date says he'll send an Uber. It's casual, efficient, chivalry outsourced to an app. I text back a thumbs up and watch my apartment windows turn into mirrors while the sky goes from steel to ink. 5 minutes later, a black sedan glides to the curb. Model matches. Color matches. The driver leans across and pops the lock. I open the back door and pause the way my therapist taught me. Check the plate, the driver photo, your gut. The plate is right except for one digit. Off by a 6, or maybe it's a 5 that got tired. Rideshare? The driver says, eyes in the rearview, voice sanded flat. What's the name? I ask. He smiles like a closed sign. You're going to 14th and Pine, right? He doesn't say my name. The interior is too clean, like a hotel that doesn't want evidence. No QR code on the headrest. No dash sticker. Just a phone on the mount with a map that isn't moving. A single blue dot in a city of ghosts. My date texts, cars outside. You good? I hover, decide to be brave and smart, and slide in anyway, middle seat so I'm not boxed by a door. As we pull away, a soft click rounds the edges of the cabin. Child locks. The handle twitches without reward when I test it. My stomach does a neat backflip and sticks the landing. Mind if I crack a window? I ask. Windows don't work in back, he says. Safety. The word lands wrong. The driver's air freshener is fake vanilla and old carpet. The radio murmurs static and my name in a voice that could be a DJ or my nerves spelling doom in Morse. I tap my Apple Watch under the sleeve. Side button, side button, side button. Hold. A faint pulse. SOS ready to call. I keep it there like a prayer half whispered. His phone screen stays on the home page. No ride app. No timer. Just a wallpaper of a beach that never knew weather. He takes turns like he's memorized them. My own phone slides in my pocket. Useless. No service for once in this city that can find you even when you don't want to be found. Can we take Broad? It's faster, I try. Construction, he says, and we pass an open stretch of Broad that isn't. I catalog the car the way you do a room before you sleep in it. Fabric seats. Plastic cup holder. A hairline crack in the front passenger headrest. The seat belts, modern, with the little metal tabs that latch into their mouths like hungry fish. I pull mine out, thread it on, then slip a hairpin into the latch so it won't actually click. It looks fastened. It isn't married to me. The trunk release. Some sedans keep it glow in the dark, a tiny stick figure running from danger. There's a seam where the back seat folds down. I slide my hand between cushions and feel the emergency pull through fabric like a promise. I check the dash. He's busy with not a map. I press the pull. The trunk lid bumps an inch. A breath of outside sweeps in, cool and honest. Don't mess with the seats, he says, voice still smooth, hand tightening on the wheel just enough to let the tendons write their names. Just getting comfortable, I say, and my voice sounds like a person I want to be. We hit a light. The red washes the cabin, like we're in a cheap darkroom. Across the intersection, a convenience store door breathes people in and out. A couple strolls a pit bull past a bus stop where a woman scrolls doom with her thumb. The world is right there. The door handle is decoration. My watch vibrates, calling emergency services in 3, 2, 1. I let it. The driver turns the radio up, a hiss that eats voices. He doesn't notice or pretends not to. Forgot my wallet, I say brightly. I've got to hop out at this light. 1 second. No stops, he says, and the light goes green. He presses the gas like he's guiding a boat into fog. Okay. I wedge my fingers under the seat back, find the trunk pull again, and yank hard. The lid pops. Air tumbles in. He curses, the first true word he's offered, and stabs at a switch. The lid drops, but the latch doesn't catch. Hey, he barks. Sit still. At the next light, the car shudders to a stop. My seatbelt, with its false click, lies for me. I count cross traffic like I'm timing waves. 1, 2 gap. I throw my shoulder, slam the door with my hip so it bounces the child lock's petty pride, dive across the seat, and shoulder the trunk through the fold down. My body folds ugly, I don't care. Vanilla, carpet, then night. I hit pavement and roll. My jeans sandpaper my knees. People shout, good, loud, public. The car lurches. The driver chooses between me and attention and peels away toward neither. I scramble up, wave both arms, point at the retreating black. Wrong Uber. I yell, voice cracking into sirens I didn't know I had. Phones rise like sunflowers. The pit bull barks a dissertation. A bus driver leans on the horn until it becomes a border. My watch buzzes, Emergency services notified. Location sent. 2 blocks down, a matching sedan turns onto Pine. Same model. Same clean. Different plate. 2 cars, 1 digit off. A swap fleet. I watch it slide past like a shark under glass. Cops will tell me later that my watch ping and the bystanders' videos made the case. They'll find a signal jammer under the driver's seat and 3 burner phones in the trunk. My date will text, "Everything okay? You ghosted me." I'll type, "Wrong car. Not your fault," and delete it. That night I scrub vanilla from my hair and discover I've left my ring in his cup holder, a small circle of me stamped into plastic like a curse. Part of me wants it back. Most of me likes the thought of it living there, a fingerprint loop that says I got out. I sleep with the window cracked wide, city air in my mouth, and every time a car door thunks on the street, my heart barks once and then sits, because I taught it a new trick. If a door won't open, I will. Climbing is trust with gear on. You tie your life into a knot you can trace with your eyes shut. You hand the other end to someone and say, "Catch me when I fall." That's the whole liturgy. Rubber, chalk, steel, and belief. He messaged after a Tuesday comp said he'd seen me trying the Blue Air 8 and liked my footwork. His name was Logan. We traded beta and stupid gym memes until he floated what sounded like a dream. I've got off hours at Crux since I helped set on Thursdays. No crowds. Want to project a route together? I show up at 9 p.m. to a gym that feels like a church after services. Cool air, lights dim to a soft hum, the rubber smell of 100 attempts. He's already there, keys on a lanyard, chalk streaks on his calves like pale vines. Cute, sure. He hands me a loaner harness, comfier than yours. Trust me. The tie-in points are furred with where rope has loved them too many times. I set it back on the counter. "I like mine," I say, and pull my own from my bag, strap in double back figure 8. "Partner check." He tries to skate past it with a cocky grin. I hold his gaze until he says the words. Brake hand never leaves the rope. Locking binder closed. Figure 8 finished. The ritual makes the room feel less haunted. We start on a 5.10 to warm up. He belays on a gree-gree, left hand fine, right hand floaty. When I call "watch me," he feeds slack, too much, like I asked him to prove something. I fall at the crux and take a longer swing than the math says I should. My hip kisses a volume and leaves skin there. "Soft catch," he says, smiling too long. "You like it soft, right?" Red flag, chalk dusted. We swap. I belay him like the diagram, brake hand branded to the rope. He moves well, too well for a guy who sets sometimes. He wants the upstairs cave. "Pads are new," he says. "It's cozy." The bouldering cave is a red mouth. Crash pads are stacked weird. 3 deep under the overhang. Seems misaligned, like someone wanted a soft spot there and nowhere else. The staff-only door is streaked with chalky handprints. In the dust near the jamb glints a thin chain, half buried. A necklace. Not mine. "You okay?" he asks. His voice is low, the way people speak to a startled animal or a microphone. "Let's go back to lead," I say. My voice is thin glass. I want to send the green 11B before it resets. Back at the long wall, he picks a lane where the floor anchor eye bolts are sunk into the concrete, big steel halos meant for classes and slack lines. "Better angle from here," he says, standing the way dangerous men do, too relaxed. I tie in. "Partner check again." He smiles like I'm cute. I stare until he says my knot is good. "On belay." Belay on. Climbing. Climb. The first clips are nothing. The third is a decent side pull, a precise foot. I feel him below me, feeding slack like he wants to see how far I fly. I test with a small sit. He catches me 2 seconds late. The rope sings through the device and burns my waist. He's doing this. Okay. I climb to bolt 4, just high enough for consequence, and call, "Taking." He gives more slack. I let my grip peel. It looks messy on purpose. I fall in a little arc I can control, pendulum just enough to brush the wall with my shoes, push, and keep swinging, this time toward the ground. I hit the mats on my feet, still tied in, rope taut to the wall. Before he can reset his stance, I step into him, grab the brake strand under his gree-gree, and throw a mule overhand, locking his device fat and lifeless. I clip the tied-off brake to my belay loop with my locker. I move fast, hands know how, fear makes them faster. "What are you?" he starts. "Fixing your catch," I say. He reaches for the knot. I shoulder him off balance and snap a quick draw into the floor anchor ring, then clip the belay loop of his harness to the other end with a locking binder. Metal on metal. Clean, satisfying. A tether he didn't consent to. Welcome to the feeling. His smile cracks. Untie that, he says, soft, as if gentleness is a tool. Red point later, I say, and hurl a spare steel carabiner at the little red break glass box by the fire door. The acrylic crazes, the alarm coughs once, twice, then screams. Strobes wake like a nest of eyes. The room becomes white and red, white and red. Somewhere in a back office, a camera blinks record. Somewhere on the street, a neighbor turns their head. Logan tugs against the anchor like a mad kite. The locker holds. The mule knot holds. His voice drops the velvet. You're overreacting, he spits. I was teaching you a dynamic catch. Cool, I say. Teach the cops. My hands shake now that my body thinks it's over. I back away, rope in my fist like a pet snake. On the counter near the setter's tools sits a clipboard with notes for next week's routes. Names written in setter shorthand. Mia's move, Tamsin Traverse, June's jug party L. Belay practice. There's a pencil line below them, faint, Kara project, after hours. My name. I peel the necklace out of the cave dust and lay it on the desk like a receipt. The front door crashes open with daylight and uniforms. My alarm tug did what alarms are for. Logan tries to look like a man caught mid-stretch. She tripped the alarm, he says. We're fine. Then why are you clipped to a floor anchor, bud? An officer asks, not unkind. Another scans the cameras, the keys, the stack of waivers half-filled. There's a small trophy shelf in the office with things that are not trophies. Hair ties, a single earring, a broken watch band. They take statements. They unlock him. They ask me if I want an ambulance for my hip. I shake my head and taste metal anyway. When I finally sit on a bench, my hands leave chalk prints shaped like wings. People ask later how I knew. I don't list every breadcrumb. I just say, check your partner. Check your gear. And if someone keeps soft catching you, tie them to something that doesn't lie. Climbing is trust with gear on. That night I shower, scrub rubber from my skin, and look at the rope burn on my waist. Red line, clean and thin. A reminder, I didn't break. I learned a new knot. We met at the coffee shop with the sticky tables and the barista who draws cats in the foam. He told me his name was Samuel. The sky had that greenish bruise Indiana gets before a siren, so we talked storms. You've never seen a real one till it rolls over open fields, he said, and it sounded like a dare with chivalry stapled to it. When he added, I've got a shelter a few miles out. If this watch turns, you should ride it out there. I heard steel door rustic story, a photo I could caption apocalypse chic. I didn't hear Cage. His truck smelled like cedar and laundry. He drove slow, like he didn't want to spook the clouds. We laughed too easily. When his hand brushed my knee at a stop sign, something small and human sparked, just enough heat to make a second location feel reasonable. You'll love the place, Samuel said. I keep it stocked, just in case. The property looked like the opening shot of a safe life. Low house, windbreak trees, a metal hatch tucked under their shade. He lifted it and cool air breathed up, concrete breath mushroom cold. He offered his hand like a gentleman to a carriage. Only a few minutes, he promised. Let the worst pass. Inside, the bunker was neat as a prayer. Pegboard with tools outlined in marker. Water barrels. Buckets of rice sealed with gamma lids. A cot with a folded wool blanket, like a hotel's severe aunt. A battery radio, a laptop on a metal desk, a little camp stove. On the wall, handwritten rules in block letters. No shoes past the line. No open flames. No lying. I laughed at that last one. Samuel didn't. He spun the wheel and threw the bolt. The boom traveled through my ribs. My phone groped the air and found nothing. Signal spotty, he said. Faraday paint. Keeps us quiet. He set us like a promise and a boundary. The radio clicked on and a Noah voice poured out in calm doom cadence. Tornado emergency. Shelter in place. He opened the laptop to a local anchor frozen mid-syllable, then animated into urgent words. Roads impassable, chemical spill, stay put, stay put, stay put. It was exactly the right kind of terrifying. It was also a hair too clean, like a loop shaved close. I watched his face instead of the screen. He wasn't watching the news. He was watching me watch the news. I touched the laptop's touchpad. The cursor didn't move. No internet down here, Samuel said, soft. Safer that way. The radio hit the same beats. The anchor blinked at the same seconds. I felt silly for noticing. I felt scared for noticing. He made us tea on the camp stove, chamomile, steam curling into concrete. We sat on the cot. His shoulder found mine. My body wanted warmth, my head wanted windows. I like that you're careful, he said. Most girls don't think about safety. Safe with you, I said, because fear makes you polite. The rules stared. No lying. I slipped a fingernail under the battery radio's back plate while he tidied a shelf. Inside, no antenna. Just a tiny loop module blinking a red LED heartbeat, speaker wires soldered like a lie in stereo. I snapped the cover on as if I hadn't seen its insides. The anchor on the laptop repeated a headline about a tanker spill. The crawl flashed last month's date if you watched long enough. Samuel refolded the wool blanket. He moved like a man putting dishes away in a kitchen he built. I should go, I said, breezy, aiming for light. My cat gets dramatic during storms. It's not safe, he said, sad like a parent. It's safe with me. I smiled like a woman who agreed and cataloged screws. The hatch hinge had 4 big ones on my side. The ventilation fan above the pegboard hummed and warmed the metal grill. The CO detector on the wall was real. So was the rule about no open flames. I broke the rule. I lit the camp stove and slid the low flame beneath the CO detector's idiot face. Samuel was at the desk, adjusting the loop volume like it could change the weather. I counted under my breath. 10, 20, 30. The detector shrieked the long, urgent wail that makes decent people move. Samuel shot to the hatch, instinct outrunning script, to vent a little air. The bolt slid. The wheel spun. He cracked the door. I hit him with the wool blanket like a matador and shoved, all legs in fear. The door swung. Air rushed loud and green. He caught my wrist, gentle first, then iron. Claire, don't, he started, and that was the switch I needed. I slammed the hatch into his shoulder with the full faith of someone who wants sky. His grip broke. Blue evening. Crickets, loud with opinions. The sky was rinsed and clear. No sirens. No trucks. Just my heart like a thing chased. I ran until gravel bled into road, and the road remembered neighbors. A sheriff's cruiser slowed beside me, window rolling down, a face that didn't know me but knew the genre. Ma'am? You okay? Medium, I said, shaking. He said there was a spill. He locked the door. My voice sounded small and mean and alive. They went back with me. They found the loop on the laptop, the paint that ate signal, the rules on the wall. Samuel sat on the cot with his hands open like he was offering absolution. It isn't safe out there, he told the deputy. I was keeping her safe. Here's what I keep. The quiet way control sounds when it says love. The way a rule about lying can be the biggest lie in the room. The feel of cool air when a door finally opens. I wrote a new rule in my head and taped it there in block letters. He didn't talk like a guy shopping. Full sentences, commas that landed like a palm on my shoulder. Mindfulness, he said. Ditching loud bars for quiet rooms. At midnight in my too-bright kitchen, that sounded like a promise I wanted to believe. I pre-booked us a couple's float, my treat. 0 gravity, 0 stress. I heard spa, not scheme. My thumb betrayed me. I said yes. The place hid behind a juice bar, windows fogged, logo a ripple swallowing itself. The receptionist smiled like a screensaver. We love first-timers, she chirped, sliding a clipboard toward me. The waiver whispered, enhanced saline, audio-visual, sensory modulation consent. I blinked. She tapped where to sign. Standard, she said, eyes skittering to the door and back like they were on a leash. He texted, running 5 late. Start without me? Tiny disappointment, bigger relief, no robe small talk. A tech walked me down a violet-washed hall. Everything's disinfected between floats, she said, smiling with only her eyebrows. Shower here, earplugs there, a handle inside the tank. You can lift the lid any time. At the hall's end, a red exit bled through steam like a distant emergency. The pod was a white clam, big enough for a prayer or a mistake. I rinsed, smoothed water over skin that remembered attention. The water took me in at skin temperature, slick with salt. My body became an outline, and then not even that. The lid lowered with a motor's sigh. Darkness slid in beside me like velvet lining a box. There's a sequence for letting go. Slower breath, heavy shoulders, jaw unclenching by degrees. My heartbeat set a bass line. Every drip sounded like a cave. I floated, naked as the reason I'd come. A voice bloomed in the dark. Hey, it's me, he said, familiar, amused. Breathe. I froze. The voice wasn't in the hallway. It was in the tank. I'll be in soon, it said. Relax. You're safe. Hello, I said, my voice a paper thing in a black cathedral. I pushed the handle, the lid lifted a finger width and stopped. Malfunction, I told myself, like a blanket could be a word. A faint green pinprick glowed by my right ear, sleep mode tiny. A fiber optic thread tucked in the seam, shy and hungry. Salt stung my lashes. The water's soft slickness had a grit along my hairline now, like the recipe had a secret. Outside, muffled through a wall, a phone unlocked with the soft throat clear of Face ID. My Face ID. The sound didn't belong here. Echoes have the wrong grammar. The recorded voice kept time. Inhale. Exhale. Let go. My bag sat in a cubby, my wallet yawning. I pictured my phone clipped on an arm, angled at the pod, waiting for the inch of lid I'd lifted. My face would have offered itself like a key. The waiver's audio-visual clause flashed back in my signature's handwriting. I pressed the handle again. Stop. I threw my shoulder. The lid didn't care. Someone. I said louder. The tank handed me my breath back, warm and small. Time stretched so thin I could see through it. A low hum moved into my bones. Spa became demonstration. I found the hinge line with my palms, felt the seam, pinched the tiny cable, yanked. It snapped with a wet insect pop. The glow died. The dark went honest again. I braced my feet, shoved hard. The lid lifted enough to leak a ribbon of light. Water slapped my ribs as I wormed out, salt carving my eyes. I grabbed a towel like a parachute and followed my own dripping footprints through the violet hall. No receptionist. Just my phone, open on a stand, camera pointed where my face would have been. Beside it, a second screen streamed a chat I couldn't read. Numbers pinged. A wireframe overlay of my driver's license photo blinked in one window. A high-res still of me entering the room blinked in another. Eyes big, compliant. Lot number 14, live package scrolled past with a price that could buy the building twice. A door behind the desk hung ajar. Voices hummed in a rhythm that had nothing to do with breath. She's up, someone said. Close it. I ran. Past the juice bar. Into the loud, forgiving daylight. The sun was such a cliché I almost applauded. I clutched the towel like a uniform I didn't want. My phone dinged in my fist. Thank you for your purchase, the spa logo crisp. A membership I hadn't bought. Line item, mindful data experience. That night he texted, hate that we missed each other. Want to reschedule? I'll take care of it. I put the phone in a drawer and listened to my heartbeat talk me down. When I closed my eyes, darkness arrived like a lid, and a soft voice said breathe. I did slow counted so I could hear what the silence was hiding. He sold it like a dare wrapped in romance. You like puzzles, right? His Hinge message read. There's this after-hours escape room, no tourists, just immersive actors. We'll have the place to ourselves. He had librarian eyes and forearm veins, and a smile that suggested he'd be fun to kiss and easy to leave. I said yes because I wanted a story where the scary parts were pretend. The building sat over a shuttered storefront, windows papered, a neon open sign flickering like it had a stutter. The door was unlocked. Inside, a woman with a flashlight smile handed us a clipboard. Power's been touchy, she said. Blackout mode's better anyway. On the waiver, staged confinement, live performer contact. Sound effects may include distress audio. Cash only. I felt the first red thread tug my ribs. We stowed our phones in little plastic coffins for immersion. I kept my Apple Watch because it felt like jewelry and permission. Jake squeezed my hand. Teamwork, he asked. Always, I lied. The room was dressed as a shabby apartment. Rotary phone, thrift couch, a corkboard webbed with string. Emergency lights buzzed like an insect choir. The game mistress locked the door with something that sounded heavier than theater hardware and handed me a UV flashlight. 60 minutes, she said, soft and satisfied. If the actors get too close, say red lantern. They'll back off. The timer on an old TV flicked to 59:59. We started strong. UV revealed a message under a lampshade. Keys hide where you never look. I found a magnet stuck to the underside of a drawer. The magnet led to a vent. Inside, a lockbox. The combination was 4 numbers painted beneath a landscape print. My graduation year. I hadn't told him that. I hadn't told anyone here that. Creepy coincidence, Jake said, eyebrows up. He went to use the bathroom. A door labeled staff that the game mistress had pointed to earlier. The TV timer kept eating seconds like a patient animal. An actor drifted in wearing a rubber half mask and a suit that smelled like thrift and cologne. He leaned close enough that I felt the cool of the latex. What was your dog's name when you were little? He whispered through the split grin. I flinched. Excuse me? Say it, he breathed. His gloved finger trailed the air near my shoulder. Not touching. Not. I said it because fear makes you obedient. The name I'd used as a security question. The name I hadn't posted anywhere since I was 19. A lock on the corkboard clicked open. The lights dimmed further. Smoke hissed from a floor vent in a lazy white pour. The TV timer glitched, jumped from 41 to 10 to 59 again, and then a new number appeared in blood red. 2 o'clock. Somewhere behind the walls, a relay thunked. A second lock engaged. Not prop. Industrial. Hey! I called. Jake! My voice went flat against the room. The half-mask chuckled and put his mouth to my ear. You live at 1437 Maple upstairs, right? He whispered. Cute porch. Red lantern, I snapped. His hands lifted showy. The smoke thickened, sweet acrid, nightclub and basement fire, my throat closing in old familiar ways. The puzzles. The locks. My history as content. The bathroom door didn't open when I pushed it. I banged. My knuckles rang metal. Jake! I yelled again, and the sound had someone else's panic in it. Fear does strange math. My brain started counting tools. UV flashlight, sturdy aluminum. The prop extension cord by the lamp, a real cord 2-prong frayed. Exit sign, dark, but the strike plate on the exit door buzzed faintly. Mag lock. I'd seen the videos, kill power, break the magnet. I jammed the extension cord's bare copper into the outlet, licked 2 fingers, dampened the other end, yes, stupid, and touched it to the strike plate. The buzz died, the lock clacked. The exit door kissed the jam like it wanted out too. Game over, the actor sang, voice losing its stage velvet. He reached for me. I swung the UV flashlight, metal on mask. The latex tore with a wet sound. He hissed, more injured pride than pain. I ran. The hallway wasn't a hallway. It was a control throat. Black curtains. A folding table with 2 monitors and a printer coughing paper. On screen, live feeds of other rooms. Couples blinking at darkness. A girl in a denim jacket, too young, banging on a false window. Another table held a scatter of printouts, my LinkedIn headshot, my old address, a bank logo cropped from a credit report header. A post-it with my dog's name written twice. A note below it, maiden name. On the second monitor, Jake. Unmasked. In a different room, speaking in a calm voice through a wall vent I could almost hear. Okay, breathe. Look under the lamp. To a woman I had never seen and never would. He looked like a man teaching CPR. He looked like a man who'd practiced. He saw me. His face flickered. Annoyance, surprise, the calculation of a chess player 3 moves late. He reached for a switch. I didn't wait to see what it did. I yanked the fire alarm. The building woke up angry, sirens, strobes, a sprinkler cough that turned smoke into cold needles. I bolted downstairs that smelled like bleach in theater and something old. Outside, October slapped my face clean. The open sign fizzed into silence behind me. People across the street looked up from their cigarettes in that shared city way. Trouble's a parade. You clap or you don't. My watch pinged SOS complete. Later, when I told the story, I kept wanting to apologize for not staying to rescue everyone, for not slamming Jake's head into the printer, for not being the final girl with the perfect quip. But some nights survival is sprinting and a pulled red handle. Some nights the creepiest part isn't the mask or the smoke. It's realizing the room was built from your life, and the man who kissed your knuckles was reading from the script you never meant to hand him. Rule 1. I tell my freshman cousin now. Never give your address to a stranger who thinks they already know you. I learned that in Hartford the hard way, lesson written in shoe prints and a Ben awning. Back then I was 20, a sophomore who treated Tinder like a shortcut through small talk. High school had been 4 years of hallway nods and selective muteness. College felt like the same game on a bigger map. Late one Thursday, I'm swiping on autopilot when a familiar face pops up, Elena Ramirez. Same class. We followed each other on Instagram, watched each other's stories, never exchanged a single word. Her Tinder looked legit, same photos I'd seen on her socials. Sunrise selfie prom dress, that pic with her dog wearing a bandana like it paid taxes. The nostalgia hit as hard as the dopamine. Me, wild we never spoke in 4 years. Hey Elena. How've you been? Elena, I know. LOL. Busy. You? Me same. Surviving. We reminisced about teachers with coffee breath and assemblies where nothing assembled. The chat felt easy. Too easy, like walking downhill without watching your feet. Elena, we should hang out tonight. I'm down if you are. Me grab food? Coffee? Elena, nah, chill at your place? Low key. That should have been the red flag, a stranger skipping the public test. But it wasn't a stranger in my head. It was Elena, the girl from the bleachers, the girl 5 lockers down. Familiarity dressed up as safety. Me, yeah, my roommates are out. True. She typed. Elena, parents around or just you? The question knifed through the haze. Why did it matter? I should have stopped. I answered anyway, trying to be casual, cool in pixels. Me, just me. My little sister's visiting, she's upstairs asleep. Elena, perfect. Drop the address. Be there soon. I sent it because sometimes we're the villain in our own PSAs. I ordered a pizza I didn't need and straightened the couch. Throw like that somehow made me safer. 10 minutes passed. Then 30. The house creaked in the old New England way, would remembering every winter. Midnight ate the street outside. My phone stayed quiet. I opened Instagram to kill irritation and saw her story. Real Elena, in a kitchen that wasn't mine, tagging a friend from our class. Wine and wine night at Jules, timestamped 15 minutes earlier. I replied to the story like an idiot. Me, hey, are you still coming later? Scene. Elena, coming where? Me, we've been talking on Tinder. You said you'd come over. Elena, I don't have Tinder. Send me the profile. My stomach slid sideways. I screenshotted. I sent. She replied with a flat balloon pop. That's not me. Report it. I did. Tinder unmatched the ghost. I locked the front door. Then the back. Then checked the slider twice. Sophie, 14, bleary-eyed, wanders into the hall in socks. You good? She asked, whispering like the house demanded it. Yeah, I lied. Catfish nonsense. Go back to sleep. Lock your window, okay? She lifted a brow. Teenagers are professors of skepticism, and padded back to her room after humoring me with the click of the latch. Time did that horror movie stretch. The TV flickered without bouncing sound off anything warm. I started to breathe again. Then, somewhere outside, gravel hushed under weight. A sound so small you only hear it, because your heart deputizes you. Sophie screamed. I was upstairs before the echo finished the word. She flung her door open on a body made of fear. Someone's at my window, she said, voice shaking out of her like pennies from a torn pocket. He was staring, right there, his face was. I ran to the window and saw only our dark yard reflecting me, a boy with the wrong idea of control. We went into lockdown the way your brain rehearses when you pretend it never will. I dialed 911, and the operator's voice arrived like a steady hallway. 911, what's your emergency? There's someone outside our house. My little sister saw him at her window. We gave our address to a fake profile. He might be trying to get in. Stay on the line. Officers are on the way. Can you secure yourselves in a room? Yes. I locked my bedroom door. We're upstairs. Footsteps on the stairs. Not ours. Slow, heavy. The doorknob jiggled, calm at first, then an impatient rattle. A man's voice seeped through the wood, low enough to curdle milk. I know you're in there, he said. I can smell you. Sophie's hand crushed mine. The operator told me to move into a closet if safe. We crab-walked inside, shut it, breathed like thieves. The pounding started. Hollow core wood is a lie that pretends to be a barrier. Sophie choked out. The police are coming. Leave us alone. The pounding stopped. For 3 breaths the silence had teeth. Then the laugh, a low scrape of sound I still hear when dishwashers rattle. Footsteps retreated. A back door maybe. A window. The house swallowed it. Blue-red flooded the windows. I ran to let them in, legs gone peppermint. 2 officers divided the house like a drill they'd rehearsed. One inside, one outside, beams slicing night. The yard wore new shadows. The back awning under my parents' window had an angle it didn't own this morning, as if someone had hung their weight and the metal had confessed. They found no one. They found the marks. What's this about a dating app? An officer asked, pen poised. I handed him my phone like a guilty offering. He nodded once, a professional who sees the same bad movie every shift with different actors. Catfish grabbed your address and your situation, he said. Knew who was home. You didn't give a number, right? No. Good. He softened. You did the right things after the wrong one. Lock doors. Call us. Stay put. We left the house for the night, because walls remember fear if you sleep inside it. Sophie and I crashed on a friend's couch. I pretended to watch a sitcom while listening to her breathe and vowing to build a moat around her bedroom. In the morning sun, Hartford looked ordinary again, the scam of day. Real Elena DM'd me, "You okay?" That's terrifying. People are unhinged. Me, we're okay. Thanks. Elena, report to Insta2, they'll nuke any new clones. Me, done. I made new rules and taped them to my brain with neon. Never give an address to someone who hasn't earned a coffee first. If a profile skips public plans, it's homework, not romance. Cross-check on socials. Ask for a quick video saying your name. If you slip, overcorrect, locks, lights, police, neighbors, noise. Never tell a stranger who's home. Especially that you're alone, or that your sister's not a guarded castle. The worst part wasn't the bang or the voice. It was the few seconds before the knock, the part where a decision got made in the dark by someone who thought we were easy. That's the weight you carry. The knowledge that nothing happened this time because a stranger's plan met your locked door and your sister's scream. When people ask why I'm so weird about first dates, I shrug and say I like coffee shops at noon. The real answer is a bent awning and a doorknob that rattled like a dare, and the voice through the wood that turned me into a permanent believer in boring. Public places, bright lights, doors that open out, and only to people who've earned the right to knock. Brentford, Ohio is the kind of town where the same 3 bartenders learn your order and your last breakup. Big enough to feel anonymous, small enough that you still bump into your gym teacher at the grocery store in the cereal aisle while you're holding the kind of cereal that screams emotional damage. 2 years out of a relationship, my social circle had shrunk to co-workers and a bartender named Jen, who called me champ in a way that healed nothing. So yes, I re-downloaded Tinder. Spare me the lecture. Half the city is on there pretending they're too good for it. Her name was Hannah. Blonde hair, soft smile, for photos that felt normal. No thirst trap lighting, no yachts, no let's go on adventures caption next to a picture of a hotel pool. Coffee, a dog, a denim jacket in front of a bookstore. Bio, introvert trying to be social. Coffee, cocktails, bookstores, bars, dog, order varies. It read like a person, not a pitch. I heard my therapist's voice in my head, risk small, and swiped right. We matched instantly. She was funny in that deflect and dodge way I recognized in myself. We traded safe questions and tiny confessions. I asked for her number. She sent a smiley and wrote, "I don't give out my number right away. Snapchat okay?" Mild red flag. But she was cautious. I was cautious. Fine. We pivoted. Her Snap score was under 900. That pinged something. Most people my age are 5 digits deep without trying. I told myself she was new or mature or both. Then she sent a selfie. Proof I'm real. Same girl. Same eyes. Same soft smile. Still, I asked for the classic test. Thumbs up or peace sign. Too many catfish out there. She paused long enough for me to regret everything. Then snap. Her face filled the screen, peace sign raised, smile a little crooked like she'd rolled her eyes first. Something in my chest unclenched. She suggested we hang out. Roommates are gone. Too quiet. Come by. She sent an address. I checked Snap Map. Her Bitmoji was perched right on the same street. Not foolproof, but it soothed the lizard brain. I showed up 20 minutes later at a small, older house with chipped paint and a yard that needed one honest weekend. The number 22 hung crooked by the door. No cars in the driveway. Porch light off. I snapped a photo here. No reply. I rang. Knocked. Called on Snap. Nothing. The quiet hit different here. Too still, like the air was waiting for a punchline. "Excuse me," a woman called from across the street. Mid-50s, arms crossed, the posture of a person who has seen enough nonsense for one lifetime. "What are you doing there?" "I'm meeting someone," I said, immediately hearing how ridiculous it sounded out loud. She frowned. "Nobody lives in that house. Been empty for years." I laughed because I do that when I'm nervous. "You sure?" I asked, stepping off the porch. She gave the address. The exact one Hannah sent. "Last girl who lived there died," the woman added not unkindly. "Drugs. Shame." My stomach performed a small Olympic routine and stuck the landing badly. "What was her name?" I asked. "Lisa," she said, and looked at me the way you look at a stray dog you can't take home. Back in my car, I opened Snapchat. Hannah had blocked me. Tinder said the profile didn't exist. I stared at my screen like it might apologize. The neighbor was already watering petunias, crisis completed. The house stared with its dark windows. I drove home in silence, the kind where your brain won't stop stitching together ugly possibilities. At my desk, I screenshotted the Tinder profile and dropped it in the group chat. "Anyone know this girl?" Marcus responded first. That's Lisa. Lisa Baker. Dude, she died 2 years ago. Another friend chimed in. Funeral was at St. Bart's. I went. I pulled up the obituary. Same face. Same smile. Same peace sign hands in one of the photos, like a loop. The captions on her old Instagram were birthdays, dogs, artfully bad latte art. The account had frozen years ago. Whoever made Hannah had scraped her life and repackaged it into a welcome mat. The part of my brain that loves tidy answers went straight to catfish. Someone stole her photos, made a brand new snap, low score check, spoofed the map, and dragged me to an empty house to what? Jump me? Rob me? Film a prank? The part of my brain that believes in weirder things whispered, what if it wasn't a someone? And I told it to go sit in the corner. I kept replaying the details. The peace sign on command. The Bitmoji on the correct street. The neighbor's voice when she said Lisa. The address number, nailed up like a dare. I imagined knocking again after dark, like an idiot in a movie. The door creaking. A light on in a room no one pays the bill for. The chemical smell of an empty house and something else beneath it. I didn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I caught myself scrolling obituaries, which is a sad, quiet sport I don't recommend. At 3 a.m., I drafted a list of new dating rules like I was reprogramming a bomb. No numbers, no meetups. Snap is for streaks, not safety. Public place, high noon, multiple exits. Text my location to 2 friends, and 1 enemy who'd delight in identifying my corpse. Reverse image search every photo. If it pings a memorial page, we're done. If they insist on coming to my place first, we're done twice. By sunrise, the whole thing began to feel like a dare the night dared me to take again. I didn't. I ate a dry bagel and stared at my chipped mug until the coffee went the exact temperature of regret. For a week, I expected a final ping, a message from Hannah, a new account, a photo taken from the porch while I stood there like a mark. Nothing came. Ghost or scammer, whoever, or whatever, had wanted me at that house had been satisfied with almost. I still drive past 22, sometimes on my way to the gym I pretend to love. The house looks smaller in daylight, which is how fear works. The porch leans. A real estate sign has never materialized. The neighbor weeds her petunias and eyes me like she remembers my face and hates the genre of my decisions. There's a version of this story where I say it was definitely a human and we all move on. There's another where I say it was definitely something else and we all turn on another light. The truth is a cheap apartment between the two. People catfish with stolen faces. Houses hold on to stories like scent. Sometimes you get lured by a stranger. Sometimes by a memory wearing a stranger's skin. I haven't deleted Tinder, but I use it like it bites. If someone sends me a peace sign, I smile because I did ask for it, and then I ask for a quick video saying my name while holding up 3 fingers. I meet at noon near a crowded cafe with a glass front and a barista who looks like she could take a punch. And when I pass 22, I keep my eyes on the road, because the last thing I want is to see a shape in the window lifting 2 fingers in a lazy, familiar V, greeting or goodbye. I'm not sure I want to know. I used to think basement apartment sounded edgy, like a musician's origin story. In reality, it meant I lived under my parents' kitchen in Albany, sharing air with the washing machine and a dehumidifier that wheezed like a smoked-out asthmatic. Logistics warehouse by day, couch creature by night. The only thing grinding harder than the forklift was my dignity. Enter Tinder. I wasn't expecting fireworks. I wanted proof I still existed above ground. Claire matched on a Wednesday. For photos, backyard sunlight, autumn trees, a slightly downward selfie that said she knew her angles. No group shots. No dogs. No let's go on adventures bio. Just hi, I like quiet. I respected the audacity of lowercase. She messaged first, you seem chill. What are you doing tonight? I should have said sleeping like a grandfather. Instead I said hanging at home and immediately wished I'd lied better. Want company? She sent, like ordering fries. Red flag, one should have sprinted across my frontal lobe. But there's a particular loneliness you get in your mid-20s. Too old for house parties, too young to be a porch philosopher. That makes you say yes against your own lore. We picked 9. She said she'd swing by. My basement has its own side door entrance. It felt efficient. At 9 o'clock on the dot, my phone buzzed. Here. She was small, dark hair, boots with a click, that same precise face from the photos. No hello hug, no hyper chatter. Just down the steps like she'd rehearsed the path. We sat on my bed because the only chair was a beanbag that eats men. After a few exchanges about weather and whether pineapple belongs on pizza, no. The room turned awkward in that cozy way first dates sometimes do. I offered water. She shook her head. I tried a joke. She stared, then laughed too hard, sharp, abrupt, like the laugh had tripped on its way out. Long drive? I asked. She didn't answer. Just kept watching me, eyes wide, smiling like I was performing and nailing it. Every question I tossed came back minimalist, sometimes. Sure. No, the silence wasn't shy, it was observing. And the longer she didn't look away, the louder my brain rewound that no group photos, no friends detail until it sounded like a siren. 30 minutes in, I bailed with dignity's least favorite sentence. I actually have to be up super early for work. Her smile dimmed. Oh. I walked her to the side door, did the polite thanks for coming thing, and shut the lock with a thumb that shook harder than the dehumidifier. My phone buzzed before I'd fully exhaled. Are you sure you have to sleep? I was having fun. I started typing a rain check lie and realized, new fact, I didn't want to see Claire again. I set the phone down, grabbed a snack from upstairs. When I came back, 3 more messages waited. Hello, hello, hello. I blocked her number. Adulting. Sometime after midnight, I woke to a weak little panic. The feeling you get when you've forgotten something stupid. My hand groped the ledge where I charged my phone. Empty wire. No phone. I'm not the misplaced electronics guy. I scanned the room. Bedside crate, desk, hoodie pocket, nothing. I went upstairs for the landline my parents refused to kill. Dialed my number. In the basement, muffled and distant, a ringtone answered like a buried heartbeat. I followed it past my room, into the short cement hall, to the boiler room door. Inside smelled like dust and hot metal. A pull-string bulb dangled like a bad idea. The ring came from the washing machine lid. I lifted it. My phone lay there face down, still buzzing. I didn't put it there. I hadn't done laundry. My spine did a full-body shiver. On the screen, unknown number, 6 messages. First photo, me sleeping. My cheeks smushed into the pillow, mouth slightly open like a saint of poor life choices. Second photo, me sleeping, from closer. You could count the freckles on my nose. The light in both was pink, because I'd left my red LED strip on. There was no way to get those angles from the window. Those were in the room pictures. 2 texts sat above the photos. Nice. Good job blocking me. Lock your door next time. Adrenaline emptied a bucket of ice down my insides. The door was locked. I thought I'd locked it. Hadn't I? I backed out of the boiler room without turning around, because movies taught me the thing is always behind you. Every inch between me and the stairs felt wider than it had the day I moved in. I woke my parents with the voice of a man, trying not to scream. My mom was in a robe and fury. My dad was already on the phone with 911. The officers were there fast for a town that takes its time. I showed them the messages, the photos, my shaking hands. They checked windows, door frames, footprints and dirt outside. They found the side door unlocked, and a new scrape on the latch like someone had practiced. The unknown number wasn't unknown for long. She hadn't bothered to hide her trail properly. The photos reverse searched to a woman in another county, not named Claire, with a real Instagram full of dog pictures and brunch. The person we'd met was Solana, 27, 2 priors for stalking. She'd slipped back in while I went upstairs for a snack, taken my phone, taken pictures, put it in the washer like a mean little Easter egg for my heart. They arrested her 2 days later. She pled to stalking, harassment, and B&E. I got a restraining order and a lecture from a detective with kind eyes. Don't invite strangers to your house, son. Make them earn your address. It should have ended there. Case closed, lesson learned, moral printed in big letters across my forehead. But it doesn't end when they leave the scene. It ends when your body believes you again. For a month, every click sounded like a footstep. Every LED glow painted my wall with her shadow. Sleep showed up wearing boots. I moved the bed. I added a camera. I changed the lock. I learned the sound of my parents' 5 a.m. coffee maker and counted it like prayer beads. Friends joked, "Bro, your love life needs antivirus." And I laughed because their jokes were cheaper than therapy. Here's the part one don't say at parties. I still think about the seconds before the shutter clicked. Someone standing inches from me while I slept. The way stillness must have filled the room like fog. The decision happening in a head I didn't know. What to take, what to leave, what to do to this sleeping man who'd said yes to quiet. These days if a profile says hi, I like quiet, I swipe left. I like noisy now. I like friends and photos and messy captions, and the kind of laugh that doesn't trip. I lock the side door twice and tug it thrice, and when my phone isn't where I left it, I breathe before I panic. Basement life isn't glamorous, but it taught me a rule I plan to keep. My bed is never an open house. I told myself I was ready. New sheets, new lipstick, new rules. Don't drink too fast. Don't go to a second location unless your spine says yes. Tell 2 friends the address. Text the all clear. Healing but with seatbelts. Nick unfolded out of Tinder like a clean shirt. Not flashy. A normal smile. A job in IT. A dog in one photo that wasn't weaponized for charm. His messages were the rare kind that didn't make my eyes roll out of my head. He asked what I cooked when I couldn't sleep. He sent a photo of his bookshelf, spines not vibes. He didn't ask what I was wearing. He said, "You seem like someone who laughs with your whole face." We did coffee first. Public. Noon on a Saturday. He was taller in person, the good kind of cologne, warm, not loud, and the easy talk we'd had through the screen survived daylight. When the cafe got loud, he listened like we were in a library. When we hugged goodbye, I didn't feel the urge to sanitize my soul. My best friend texted, "Green or red flags?" I replied, "The rare beige might be real human." Third date at his place. Red wine, takeout, no pressure. He sent the address, a quiet street with porches and trimmed grass. Porch light on. Door opened before I knocked, like he'd been listening for me. Inside, soft lamps. Vinyl stacked beside a small player. A framed movie poster, not the college bro kind. The couch looked clean. The room smelled like rosemary roasted into something deeper. He handed me a glass, Cabernet, but I won't be offended if you hate it. And the first sip was good enough I believed him about everything else. We sat. We grazed. We traded those little shiny truths you take out like jewelry. My worst haircut, his failed attempt at pottery, the way a certain song makes me cry in public. He asked gently about my last relationship. I answered carefully. When he refilled my glass, his fingers brushed mine. The touch was warm. My face was warmer. Half an hour later the room tilted. Not a cute sway. A slow, underwater lean. My tongue thickened. A metallic ghost moved into my mouth. The wine glass looked far away, sitting right there in my hand. My stomach began its long elevator ride down. Nick paused mid-story. "Hey, you okay?" "Bathroom," I said. The word came out like it was wearing someone else's shoes. He showed me the hall. I shut the door and leaned against it while my pulse punched at my throat. In the mirror, I was pale and glossy, the way girls look in bad stories. I turned the faucet on. I locked the door. My hands shook like bad Wi-Fi. "Call someone," said a voice I didn't know I had. I dug my phone out of my purse and missed my own code twice. 911. The operator's voice was steady as a hallway. I gave the address in fragments. I whispered because the door felt thinner than wood. I said. I think he put something in my drink." "Stay on the line," she said. "Help is coming. Can you breathe?" "Yes," I said. "For now." The floor rose up like it was sick of waiting for me. Darkness did its soft thief act. Somewhere in there I heard the house change, footsteps, a chair leg, a breath too close to the door. Somewhere in there, the world narrowed to a tunnel with sirens at the end. I woke in a room that loved bleach. The light was unjust. A nurse said my name like it was a hand on my hair. "You're safe," she said. "You did exactly the right thing." Police voices later. Statements. Forms. I told them about the wine, the tilt, the lock, the call. A detective's mouth tightened at bathroom. He asked me to walk through the timeline again. I walked even though my legs were soup. What happened after? I asked when they'd papered everything. At the house. 2 detectives looked at each other. That trick where silence carries weight like a second anvil. The older one cleared his throat. "We entered," he said. "You were in the bathroom. Unconscious but breathing." The suspect was detained without incident. "Nick," I said, trying the name on the new air. He nodded. "We searched the premises. There were items in the living room." He trailed off, like a radio losing its station. "We closed the door so you wouldn't see." "What items?" "You don't need those details to testify," he said, gentle. "You need rest." "Tell me." He didn't. The younger detective shifted, jaw tight. "We're charging him," he said. "That's what matters." In the days after, I learned how a body metabolizes fear, slowly, then all at once. The labs came back with syllables I had to look up. The DA called them standard and predatory assaults, like standards were good in this context. Nick pled not guilty with a face that looked like the man who'd complimented my laugh. His attorney said words like misunderstanding and consensual, and I wanted to pull my own hair out at the roots. People asked how it happened. I said, I locked the door. I didn't say, he had laid something out in the living room. Something with straps. Something with plastic. Something the detectives wouldn't describe, because pictures would never leave my head if they put them there. I didn't say, I can still feel the wineglass in my hand, cold and treacherous as a kiss. I didn't say, I made the call and then the dark took me and luck did the rest. I made new rules. I pour my own drinks or I don't drink. I meet in daylight until the moon has earned it. I keep a copy of my address text ready to forward with a tap. I listen to the voice I didn't know I had, the one that says go now. This isn't the triumphant version where I'm fearless. I'm not. The first time a date held a door for me after, my ribs tried to climb out my back. The first time I laughed hard again, I startled at my own joy. But fear hasn't swallowed everything. It just rearranged the furniture. I wasn't supposed to be the guy who gets lured. Ask anybody from back home, and they'll tell you I'm the cautious one. Keys between the fingers, door locked twice, wallet in the front pocket like a grandpa. But that weekend in Cincinnati, I was 21, 2 beers past careful, and Tinder said a girl named Emily liked my smile. That'll loosen a man's screws. Her profile was harmless in a way that made me trust it. College tee messy bun, a silver necklace she wore in every photo like a signature. We traded messages until the sun came up, meme ping pong, pizza loyalty, what counts as a red flag, I joked, if your dog has a bank account, and she sent back 3 crying emojis and a heart. By 3:30 a.m., she said, my roommates are out. Come over tomorrow. Quiet movie night. No pressure, just couch and popcorn. Seemed chill. Saturday night, I left my buddy Tyler's apartment buzzing. The address she sent was 10 minutes away in a part of town that looked like it hadn't slept since '98. Flickering street lamps, porches with sagging steps, one window boarded like a missing tooth. Still, I told myself college neighborhoods always look a little true crime at night. I texted, here. Which door? Her reply came fast, front door's unlocked. Just come in and head down the hall. I'll meet you. Unlocked? My brain pinged. Stranger in a sketchy building, late night, open door. But my ego called me a coward from the back seat. I pushed inside. The hallway was thin and dim, lit by one naked bulb that hummed like a bad thought. The air smelled like wet carpet and something metallic, the way a penny tastes if you're weird enough to put it in your mouth. I slid my hand along the wall for a light switch. That's when I heard it, a whisper close enough to fog glass. Shh, he's right outside. Every muscle I owned locked. I told myself it was a TV, maybe a neighbor. Then the whisper changed angle, sharper, like someone was leaned against a door with their lips to the crack. Quiet. Wait for him. No laughter. No giggles. The tone wasn't prank, it was choreography. My sneakers chirped on the linoleum as I stepped back. Past the second door, a set of blinds twitched. Not wind. Shadows shifted, plural. 6 quick breaths echoed, none of them mine. Behind me, the entrance door clicked softly against its frame like it was reminding me it existed. I wish I could tell you I squared my shoulders and said something cool. Instead, I turned and left. Not a jog. A full tilt, elbow pumping, don't look back sprint into the night's cold mouth. My hands fumbled the keys. I dropped them, swore, found them again, dove into my car and locked it with the panic of a man who knows locks are mostly confidence theater. The building stared back with 4 blank windows. Nobody followed. That almost made it worse. My phone buzzed. Emily, where'd you go? Been waiting all night, smiley face. I stared until the text blurred. My thumbs wanted to type all kinds of feelings, but my spine handled the typing, blocked. Back at Tyler's, I tried to explain. He laughed it off between bites of leftover wings. Probably her friend's messing with you, man. Hazing the Tinder boy. I didn't argue, but my hands didn't stop shaking until I fell asleep with the TV volume at Neighbors Hate You. On Sunday, curiosity built a guillotine, and I put my neck in it. I reverse searched her photos. Found the necklace. Found the same smile, on an Instagram account in another state. A real girl, real life, not named Emily. The captions were birthdays and beach days, not come down the hall, doors open. That night, I pictured that hallway, the humming bulb, the whisper pressed to wood, the way the blinds moved like something with intention had breathed on them. I pictured me taking 5 more steps. A door opening too fast. A hand. Another. The movie I didn't want my mother to watch. Here's the thing no one tells you. Survival doesn't feel heroic. It feels ridiculous. Like you left a party early and only later learned the house burned down. You want to apologize for the drama in your chest, for the way you double-check the deadbolt now, for how your heart sprints at the sound of blinds. I still use my keys like a porcupine between my fingers. I still keep my wallet in my front pocket. And when someone texts me, front door's unlocked, I let the message sit there and rot. Some nights caution isn't a mood, it's a muscle. And mine, thank God, twitched when it needed to. Breakups make liars out of you. You say you're fine, then you're cleaning your truck like it's Easter, shaving twice for a woman you've never met. I was a patrol rookie in Dayton then, fresh badge, frayed nerves, heart freshly unstitched. I told the guys I was just getting back out there. Truth, I was tired of eating in silence. Her name on Tinder was Selena. Bio said, I like people who don't rush conversations. Stargazing bars. Ask me something real. The photos were soft, hazel eyes, jean jacket, half smile like she knew a shortcut out of my head. We traded long messages that felt like porch talk. When she said, there's a field outside town. You can see the whole sky. Bring a hoodie. Loneliness agreed for me. I picked her up at 9. She slid into the passenger seat like we'd done it before. Vanilla perfume, chipped nail polish, a small crescent scar at her thumb. Left at the old grain silo, she said, texting as I drove back roads that ate the streetlights. The field opened like a mouth. Stars threw salt across the dark. We leaned on the tailgate and did small truths. Her worst birthday. My first wreck. The way endings dragged their feet. It wasn't romantic, it was warmer than my apartment. Headlights probed the lane. A white van idled up, one headlight brighter than the other. A man got out, 40s barrel chest, hair like steel wool. He stood in the wash of light, polite calm. You folks know this is private property? He asked. Sorry, I said, hands open. We're just looking. He studied me one beat too long. Had poachers, he said. Be careful. He left in a lazy U-turn, dust lifting. I unclenched. Selena didn't. She was thumb deep in her phone, the glow hardening her face. Everything okay? I asked. MHM, she said, not looking up. Just telling my friend I'm alive. We went back to the truck bed, but the night had shifted, flavor gone metallic. She laughed at the right places, but her body had turned into a question mark. An hour later the same headlights came harder. Gravel spit. The van slid nose to nose with my bumper like it wanted to kiss or kill. Stay here, I said. Selena did not stay. She sprinted toward the van like a kid toward a parent, voice cracking into the night. He's got money. His truck's full of stuff. I told you he'd be easy. The ground dropped out of my chest. The man, Bob, she called him later, stepped out. The calm was gone, the arithmetic stayed. He moved with the assurance of someone who'd done this before. Look, I started, hands up, brain counting angles. He lunged. Training is a body memory that shows up before you do. I rolled off the line, air burning cold, hand on my waistband. I'd told myself not to bring the gun tonight. I had anyway. I drew. Police, I barked, site picture center mass. On the ground. Now. Everything stopped for a quarter second, the kind of silence that decides your future. Bob's eyes did quick math and found a new answer. He bolted. Selena dropped the pipe she was holding, panic and something darker tug of warring across her face. Don't, she said. Plea or warning, I couldn't tell, then turned and ran with him into the tree line. I chased. Branches whipped my arms, boots punched dirt. Ahead, their shapes flickered between trunks. Then the woods hiccuped 3 muzzle flashes. The shots were flat and angry. I dove, ate leaves, tasted old rain and fear. Tactical brain took the wheel. Break contact, don't feed the woods. I pivoted, sprinted for the truck, engine screaming awake on the second try. I didn't stop till the road wore streetlights again. Dispatch answered thin and bored until I said the words that sharpen voices. 2 suspects, armed, attempted robbery, possible kidnapping setup. Need units at these coordinates. I added my badge number, swallowed my pride. Sergeant rolled up in 15, FTO behind him. You called the cops when you are the cops. Sarge smirked, then saw my hands shaking. The smirk died. Back at the field, the van sat like a shed that had learned to migrate. Unlocked. Inside, duct tape, zip ties, 2 knives, lighter fluid, handcuffs, pill bottles with sanded labels. An AR-15 leaned casual in back, a passenger seat stained the color of dried rust. The plates were stolen. The VIN came back to a woman in Miamisburg who hadn't seen her van in 3 weeks. Jesus, my FTO said, a prayer or a verdict. Detectives canvassed from midnight to morning. Thermal drone. K9. Nothing but our prints and boot tracks and the wild's indifference. The report would later call it an interrupted felony. I called it a date. In the debrief room the next day, Sarge tossed a stress ball at my chest. You good? Medium, I said. She almost cried when she raised the pipe. He nodded like he knew the species, people in over their heads who still wade deeper. You don't fix that, he said. You just refuse to drown with them. Weeks passed. No arrests. No hits on Bob or Selena, if those were even names. The van's evidence filled a shelf. The case file gathered the kind of dust that never quite settles. Guys at the precinct called me Tinder boy because gallows humor is cheaper than therapy. I played along, laughed, did the shrug, but nights got louder in my apartment. Headlights in the rearview tasted like adrenaline. Gravel roads made my molars ache. I stopped using dating apps. It wasn't a crusade. It was a quiet decision to let my pulse live longer. Sometimes, turning off the spigot is the bravest thing you do. Here's what I keep. The look on Selena's face when the plan collided with the gun and the woods, and the reality of me not being easy. Tears, yes. Guilt, maybe. A shadow, definitely. The kind people grow when they tell themselves they're still good because they don't do the worst part. And here's the thing I say out loud, because saying it pins it to the wall. The stars were beautiful that night. The field was wide. It could have ended 100 ways. We got the one where I went home. Some nights that feels like luck. Some nights it feels like grace. Either way, I keep my hoodie by the door and my boundaries closer. Time slips when you live alone. It pours like wine from a bottle that never quite empties, leaves red rings on the table you keep promising to wipe. I worked from my apartment in Philadelphia, finessing other people's dreams and hex codes while mine sat on airplane mode. Days smudged into each other. The city breathed outside my window. I forgot to. 2 glasses of Cabernet and a movie I didn't watch later. I re-downloaded Tinder. Shame prickled, then came the narcotic of maybe. After 20 hollow profiles, he appeared. Terry, 28. Sunshot hair, salt-sweet smile. Every picture easy and unposed. Laughing on a trail, reading a battered paperback, a bonfire reflected in his eyes. A thin leather bracelet looped his wrist in every shot, one of those details that clings like a burr. His bio, time is the only thing we can't get back. Let's not waste it. I swiped right. The screen blipped, it's a match. A message landed like a coin in a quiet room. Terry, so what does a girl like you do on a Friday in Philly besides swipe? I actually laughed. It felt like air. We volleyed books, bad coffee, favorite bridges. He was quick without being mean, flirty without cross-examining my boundaries. When he asked me out, he didn't pitch a test, he offered an evening. Terry, Old City? Small bar, clean pour. Me, Monica, you don't waste time. Terry, why waste it? I spent too long getting ready, toggling between lipstick shades like I was choosing a personality. I imagined his hand warm at the small of my back as the door swung open. That tiny, shameful spark of wanting to be wanted again flickered, bright and human. Old City hummed. The bar glowed amber and brass. My martini sweated on the table. 10 minutes stretched. 20. I rehearsed a breezy exit line to no one. At 45 minutes, embarrassment curdled into anger. Me, hey, I've been waiting an hour. Where are you? Terry, I was there, didn't see you. Proof. A photo pinged in, the bar crowded, familiar. My stomach lifted and dropped. Where was he sitting? I scanned corners I already memorized. Every place he could be, he wasn't. We tried again because hope is stubborn and I am softer than I want to be. A cafe near Rittenhouse, rain tapping glass. I arrived early and let the latte go cool in a porcelain circle. 30 minutes, 45. No Terry. Me, are you serious? Terry, I swear I'm here. See? Another photo, my cafe, my afternoon, his angle. Me, call me. Terry, American Sims trash. Need Wi-Fi to ring. I blocked him that night. Deleted the thread, the app, my appetite. Catfish, my brain decided, and shoved the verdict through my ribs. I told myself that was the end. 2 months later, in a Fishtown club, neon scaffolding the dark, a DJ suturing one beat to the next, I felt eyes on me. From the back wall, half shadowed by strobe, someone watched. Tousled hair. Leather bracelet. The same boyish tilt of grin I'd rehearsed wanting. I shoved through bodies. He evaporated. Against reason, I unblocked his number. The call didn't ring. My phone buzzed anyway. Terry, just wanted to see you again. I owe you answers. Before I could reply, another message dropped, a screenshot. The headline was a hook in my throat. Australian traveler found dead in Philadelphia hostel, identified as 28-year-old Terry Walsh, believed to be the fourth victim in suspected dating app poisonings. The photo was unmistakable. His grin. His bracelet. Date of death. 3 months before we matched. Me, this isn't funny. Who is this? Terry, thank you for liberating me. My vision blurred. Then another photo arrived. It was my living room. Me on my couch, phone in hand, horror carved across my face. The shot was from behind. Not the angle of a window. The angle of a presence. Everything went cold behind my skin. I turned slowly, like the room might break. The apartment was quiet in that wrong way. Held breath, teeth showing. Nothing was moved, except for something small on the floor by the hallway. A leather bracelet. Worn soft. The kind that learns a wrist and keeps its secrets. I crouched, hand hovering like it might bite. The clasp was unfamiliar. The leather smelled faintly of smoke and salt. I thought of that bonfire picture, flame reflected in his eyes. The bracelet in every frame, looping time. I called a friend, because logic needs witnesses. She stayed on the line while I checked the closets, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. Every movie cliché, suddenly reasonable. No broken locks. No open window. Just me, the bracelet, and a message thread I couldn't show the police without sounding like a problem they don't have budget for. The next days were a chalk outline. I jumped at ice maker clunks, at upstairs footsteps that belonged to other lives. I scrubbed the apartment like penance. I zipped the bracelet into a freezer bag like evidence from a crime where I didn't know what was stolen. Sleep arrived in shards. After dark, texts feel heavier, like they possess mass. I went back to the article when I shouldn't. I read about the poisonings. A whisper slipped into drinks, a handful of nights ending with candles and sirens. I zoomed on his photo until the pixels confessed nothing. Terry Walsh. Backpacker. Tourist. 28 forever. I wanted it to be a name someone stole like a jacket. I wanted to believe I'd been catfished by a garden-variety creep with a printer and nerve. But the photos, the angles, the bracelet on my floor. What do you do with a haunting you might have swiped right on? With a stranger who wanted you, missed you, then found you anyway? The city kept breathing. Septa wailed. A siren dragged its tail down Market. I left a light on in the hall like I was 12 again, and hoped please still counted as a spell. I never re-downloaded Tinder. Every time my finger hovers over the icon in the App Store, a chill passes through my wrists like someone has wrapped them gently, possessively. I imagine a warm hand at the small of my back as the door swings open, the way I did that first night, and I feel shame for my softness, and an ache for the version of me that wanted to believe in a boy with a bracelet who wrote about time. Sometimes I hear my phone buzz on the counter when it hasn't. Phantom haptics. Memory or message. I don't check right away. I let it ring in the quiet. I let the moment breathe. And then, when I finally turn it over, I practice the ritual I've learned. Block. Delete. Breathe. The bracelet stays sealed in the freezer, next to the vodka, as if I can lock a timeline shut. It looks smaller in there. Harmless. Domestic. A loop of leather and metal that used to circle flesh. Time, he wrote, is all we can't get back. I wasn't supposed to be the guy who gets lured. Ask anybody from back home, and they'll tell you I'm the cautious one. Keys between the fingers, door locked twice, wallet in the front pocket like a grandpa. But that weekend in Cincinnati, I was 21, 2 beers past careful, and Tinder said a girl named Emily liked my smile. That'll loosen a man's screws. Her profile was harmless in a way that made me trust it. College tee messy bun, a silver necklace she wore in every photo like a signature. We traded messages until the sun came up, meme ping pong, pizza loyalty, what counts as a red flag, I joked, if your dog has a bank account, and she sent back 3 crying emojis and a heart. By 3:30 a.m., she said, my roommates are out. Come over tomorrow. Quiet movie night? No pressure, just couch and popcorn. Seemed chill. Saturday night, I left my buddy Tyler's apartment buzzing. The address she sent was 10 minutes away in a part of town that looked like it hadn't slept since '98. Flickering street lamps, porches with sagging steps, one window boarded like a missing tooth. Still, I told myself college neighborhoods always look a little true crime at night. I texted, here. Which door? Her reply came fast. Front door's unlocked. Just come in and head down the hall. I'll meet you. Unlocked? My brain pinged. Stranger in a sketchy building, late night, open door. But my ego called me a coward from the back seat. I pushed inside. The hallway was thin and dim, lit by one naked bulb that hummed like a bad thought. The air smelled like wet carpet and something metallic, the way a penny tastes if you're weird enough to put it in your mouth. I slid my hand along the wall for a light switch. That's when I heard it, a whisper close enough to fog glass. Shh. He's right outside. Every muscle I owned locked. I told myself it was a TV. Maybe a neighbor. Then the whisper changed angle, sharper, like someone was leaned against a door with their lips to the crack. Quiet. Wait for him. No laughter. No giggles. The tone wasn't prank, it was choreography. My sneakers chirped on the linoleum as I stepped back. Past the second door, a set of blinds twitched. Not wind. Shadows shifted, plural. 6 quick breaths echoed, none of them mine. Behind me, the entrance door clicked softly against its frame like it was reminding me it existed. I wish I could tell you I squared my shoulders and said something cool. Instead, I turned and left. Not a jog. A full tilt, elbow pumping, don't look back sprint into the night's cold mouth. My hands fumbled the keys. I dropped them, swore, found them again, dove into my car and locked it with the panic of a man who knows locks are mostly confidence theater. The building stared back with 4 blank windows. Nobody followed. That almost made it worse. My phone buzzed. Emily, where'd you go? Been waiting all night, smiley face. I stared until the text blurred. My thumbs wanted to type all kinds of feelings, but my spine handled the typing, blocked. Back at Tyler's, I tried to explain. He laughed it off between bites of leftover wings. Probably her friend's messing with you, man. Hazing the Tinder boy. I didn't argue, but my hands didn't stop shaking until I fell asleep with the TV volume at Neighbors Hate You. On Sunday, curiosity built a guillotine, and I put my neck in it. I reverse searched her photos. Found the necklace. Found the same smile, on an Instagram account in another state. A real girl, real life, not named Emily. The captions were birthdays and beach days, not come down the hall, doors open. That night, I pictured that hallway, the humming bulb, the whisper pressed to wood, the way the blinds moved like something with intention had breathed on them. I pictured me taking 5 more steps. A door opening too fast. A hand. Another. The movie I didn't want my mother to watch. Here's the thing no one tells you. Survival doesn't feel heroic. It feels ridiculous. Like you left a party early, and only later learned the house burned down. You want to apologize for the drama in your chest, for the way you double-check the deadbolt now, for how your heart sprints at the sound of blinds. I still use my keys like a porcupine between my fingers. I still keep my wallet in my front pocket. And when someone texts me, front door's unlocked, I let the message sit there and rot. Some nights caution isn't a mood, it's a muscle. And mine, thank God, twitched when it needed to. Senior year me was bright-eyed, broke, and romantically optimistic. 3 traits that pair badly with car interiors and strangers' appetites. I meet this guy online. Older, doing his master's, good texter, even better on FaceTime. Vibes seem normal. We set a date. He offers to drive since I don't have a car. Mistake number 1, I know, but I make him pick me up far from my dorm like I'm a cautious raccoon who forages near, not at home. He pulls up and I slide in expecting music and a plan. Instead, he is elbows deep in takeout lo mein, steering with his knee, fork doing 80 BPM across a styrofoam crime scene. The whole car smells like soy sauce sauna. I'm like, oh, you were hungry? He goes, you want some? Sir, not shared lap noodles. We drive to an assisted living parking lot. Romantic if your kink is fluorescent lighting. And he starts rolling up. He knows I don't smoke. He knows I get anxious. But apparently his stomach wants a pre-dinner blunt like an aperitif. Windows up. Hotbox City. I'm in there breathing second-hand decisions, eyes tearing, mouth getting Sahara dry. Tiny NSFW but YouTube-friendly note. Romantically speaking, nothing wilts a vibe faster than eau de ashtray mixed with chow mein humidity. When the fog lifts, he squints over like, damn, we smell like gas. My restaurant probably won't let us in. So the real date, where we, sit and talk like citizen humans, dies right there in the Buick. He snaps his fingers. You know what would slap? A McFlurry. Not me dressing cute for the ice cream industrial complex. We hit the drive-thru. Kid at the window looks 17 and freshly trained. My date orders 2 Oreo McFlurries and 2 waters, then the total pops up and he morphs into finance bro with a grudge. Since when did McDonald's get so expensive? He barks, like the cashier sets global dairy prices. He argues over cents like they stole his thesis. I want to fold myself into a napkin dispenser. He side-eyes me mid-rant. Do you need a water? We could share. I am parched from the car sauna, but I also like living, so I say, it's fine. We leave with 2 McFlurries and 1 water that he drinks solo like it's a hostage. I do not get a sip. My tongue is now a legal desert. Here's the part that made my stomach flip in a not cute way, watching him go from 0 to 10 on a teenage cashier. That snap, that switch, scariest thing on the menu. The flurry melts, my green flags do too. I hint for home. I'm wiped. Early morning. He pouts but starts the car. I pull up my maps, nagging it under my breath like a prayer. Straight, right, left, campus. We glide past my turn. Past my dorm. My spine turns into Wi-Fi bars. I kinda don't want the night to end, he says, voice soft like that's supposed to be sweet and not a plot twist. I keep my tone light and my finger poised over 911. Same. Ended at the dorm. I laugh like a talk show host. He hesitates, checks my phone screen, sees the blue route glaring, and, thank God, loops around. He stops at the curb. I hop out like the concrete's a lifeboat. Thanks for the night, I say because my mother raised me to be polite even to walking red flags. He goes in for a hug. I give him the church shoulder pat, wholly distant brief. Then I beeline to the door, text my friends home, and chug water like it's an apology. Alright besties, gather round the cosmic ball return because this one is a lane 10 cautionary tale with neon shoes and a side of audacity. Picture it, Hinge era pre-therapy me, batting my lashes at the algorithm and letting it feed me men with prompts. One dude slides in smooth, charming in the chat, big laugh emojis, voice notes that sound like he practices in the mirror. He asks me out. Cute. Then he says, let's go bowling. Fine. I'm not number 1 on the PBA tour, but I can lob a ball and look adorable doing it. Then he does the wildest thing. This man CSI stalks my Instagram, scrolls back to a prehistoric era, like Bang Fringe and Valencia filter days, and screenshots a picture of me in stilettos and a floppy hat. He sends it and goes, wear this tonight. For bowling. Sir, this is not a Met Gala. This is sticky floors and invisible nacho cheese. Also, those shoes retired in 2019 due to workplace injuries, my ankles. I text back something diplomatic like, haha, that's a throwback. I'm doing sneakers and jeans. He doubles down. I like my girls fly. Put it on. Not a request, an instruction. Red flag number 1. Wardrobe demands from someone who has never paid my credit card bill. I'm a Capricorn with my own closet, thanks. Fast forward to the alley. I walk in looking casual cute, soft tee, high-waist jeans that make my butt whisper a blessing, hair shiny like gossip. I spot him instantly. New York energy, jaw set like he's negotiating a hostage release. I smile, step up. Hey, and he cuts me off with, you're really short. No hello, no hug, no you look nice. Just a measurement, like TSA with an attitude. Short kings of the world, I love y'all. This is not about height. This is about rude. Red flag number 2, negging as a greeting. If your opener is an insult, your closer will be a block. He pivots away like I'm a commercial break and says, I'm gonna get shoes. Not, wanna grab shoes together? Not, what size are you? He just dips, leaving me standing there like an unpaid extra in my own date. I roll my eyes, breathe, and remind myself I came here to bowl, not to audition for his approval. We get our lane. He finally looks me over like a bouncer deciding whether I get into club expectations and says, you could have came here looking fly. That outfit on IG. Fly. This. Not fly. He actually wags a finger. My spine leaves my body and phones a friend. I keep it cute. I like being comfortable when I'm hurling a 12-pound rock. He's unimpressed. Red flag number 3. Fashion policing on a first date. And yes, I clock the irony. This man is wearing a hoodie that has seen wars and a cap shaped like regret. He starts the rapid fire. Where are you from? Interrogation. Tone like he's trying to match me to a missing poster. I'm answering calmly, but it's giving precinct interview. Then he returns to the height chronicles. You real short. Like real short. I don't like short. The way my eyebrows left the chat. Men usually love that I'm petite, I say, keeping it breezy. Yeah, I don't. He says it proud, like it's a personality trait. Red flag number 4. Announcing preferences like a Yelp review of my jeans. Whatever. I bowl first. Is my form elite? No. But I do a cute little 2-step release, and okay, it's a gutter. Calm down. It's frame 1. He grabs the ball out of my hands, snatches, and goes, "You suck. You're not good at this." The way my soul slid on the approach and dove under the machinery. Red flag number 5. Touching without asking plus public shaming. That's a 2-for-1 coupon I did not clip. Boundaries. I say soft but steel. Don't snatch. He rolls his shot, spares it, and exhales like he just fixed the economy. Then the coaching starts. You gotta open your hips, keep your wrists strong, don't flick, watch me. The instructions are NSFW adjacent, but not in a fun way. It's giving gym bro in a bowling alley, rated M for manners not found. Between frames he keeps looking down at my sneakers like they owe him money. If you wore the heels, your posture would be better. Not for bowling, baby, for surgery. He waxes poetic about how he likes a woman who puts effort in her look, and I'm suddenly very aware of my lip gloss and how that's apparently invisible if I'm not wobbling in stilettos while renting shoes that 8,000 strangers have worn. By frame 4 I decide to reclaim my peace. I take a sip of my soda, let the bubbles bless my patience, and pull out the classic big day tomorrow line. I'm gonna call it early. Got a long morning. He blinks. Shocked. Already? We just got started. Sir, I was done at, you're really short, but I gave it 3.5 frames for science. He's prickly now. You can't hang. I smile. I can. I just won't. Not with this energy. He tries to reel it back. Ite, my bad. I just like my girls to look good next to me. The phrase my girls ricochets off every wall of my ribcage and sets off the fire alarm. We head to the counter to return shoes. He's sulking, scrolling, doing that masculine pout that's supposed to make me apologize for my ankles. Outside, I say thanks for meeting up because I'm raised right and start my route to the exit. You want to come over? He asks, immediately betraying the cause. Not, can I walk you to your car? Not, text me you got home safe. Straight to couch additions. NSFW note, the only thing getting laid tonight is his ego, face down in the gutter. I say, no. Good night. I'm 2 steps toward the door when buzz my phone. He's already calling. I silence it. Texts start rolling in like a broken pin setter. Him, where you at? Him, you really dip like that. Him, LOL you short and sensitive. Him, pull up let me make it up. Him, deadass it's not that serious. Him, I like you though. Like me? Babe, you haven't met me. You met a height measurement in jeans you disapproved of. I block his number before he can escalate from petty to threatening, and open Hinge with the reverence of a priest closing a reliquary. Delete. Because listen, I'm all for resilience, but we don't need to be emotionally cross-training with men who think women are outfits with organs. I told myself I downloaded Tinder just to hear a new voice in my apartment. After the breakup, the silence grew teeth and chewed through every evening. Then Daniel slipped in with a message like a gloved hand through a curtain. Your smile is the kind people write poems about. I smiled instead. He didn't act like an app guy. He asked about books, about the jokes that make me snort laugh, about the scar on my knee. He quoted Poe, and when he wrote, "We loved with a love that was more than love," I pretended not to be charmed. We met for coffee on a Friday the city glassed over. Neat black shirt, manners, eyes like winter water. Dinner at my place next week? He asked, casual. I cook better than restaurants try. His building was old brick with narrow stairs that made you climb like a secret. The apartment smelled like cumin, rosemary, and something faintly sweet metallic, the way pennies taste. The table was set with candles and a thick bottle of red breathing. Family recipes, he said with a shrug. He made lamb, tender, seared dark at the edge. We talked about art that makes your pulse spike and about the way winter light turns honest. He recited a stanza, and I circled my glass like a proper heroine. If you tilt your head just right, romance rhymes with warning. Fresh air? He asked, gesturing to the balcony. The grill hissed. Smoke lifted with a sweetness that was immediately wrong, like sugar burned in an old pan. A metal bucket sat in the corner, speckled with ash. Lamb burger, he said, lifting the lid. The patty glistened. A long blonde hair curled around the edge like a signature. I don't have blonde hair. That smells intense, I managed. Trust me, he said, smiling without his eyes. You'll love it. Forever. His fingers closed around my wrist, gentle first, then iron. The world narrowed to the pulse in my throat. Daniel, I said, and my voice sounded like someone else's. Let go. Don't you see? His breath feathered my cheek, warm and certain. We're already inevitable. My heel clipped the bucket. It toppled with a clang. Not trash. Not charcoal. Pale curves and sockets fanned in the candlelight. A skull like an open mouth mid-gasp. Smaller bones nested like punctuation. The part of me that freezes blinked. The other part, the mean survival part, woke up swinging. I snatched the spatula from the grill and cracked it across his temple. The sound was wet wood, the kind that splits late. He dropped, eyes stunned into human again. I ran. Down the stairs, through the lobby, into the cold I'd complained about all week. I called 911 with a voice that shook like a cheap ladder. Police went in and came out quiet. Later the news did what news does, turned horror into headline. Tinder predator captured. Locked room. Remains. Words like trophies and marinade tossed around by men with microphones who'd never smelled that balcony air. People called me brave. I nodded because nodding is easier than explaining that bravery is mostly momentum and luck. Nights afterward, the apartment's silence returned smaller, like a dog that had been scolded. Sometimes a neighbor's grill coughs out something sweet and wrong, and the balcony swims back. Hair on the meat, bright bones in the bucket, his voice promising forever like a curse. I still read Poe. I just leave the balcony door shut and let the candles burn themselves out at night without me. I'm not proud of the way I used Tinder back then. Late 2016, I was 29, recently de-girlfriend, and doing my best impression of a man who slept fine on a couch that remembered every fight. I worked too many hours at a tech job that sucked every decent impulse into a Jira ticket, came home to a one-bedroom outside Cincinnati and scrolled. Swipe for dopamine, swipe for proof that someone somewhere might see me and think, yeah, okay. Most nights, nothing. A handful of hey S, a few you up, S that felt like time bombs. Then I saw her. Clara wasn't filtered into oblivion. No open-mouth trout selfies, no overexposed bathroom mirror. 3 photos, a sundress on a porch swing, a jukebox and a grin that said she'd already picked the song. A close-up that didn't try to flatter, just dared me to look away. Green eyes. A smirk that promised a dare would arrive on schedule. Her bio, 36. Divorced. Collector of stories. Loud guitars, quiet nights. Don't waste my time. I swiped right so fast I worried I sprained my thumb. We matched. We traded the first volley, easy like an inside joke that had been waiting for us. Collector of stories? I typed. Sounds hazardous. Only if you become one of them, she wrote back. My heart did a small, regretless crime. We flirted until the blue light carved trenches under my eyes. She didn't ask me to prove I was 6 feet. She didn't send me a list of requirements disguised as standards. She gave me a bar name, the Rusted Lantern, and one instruction. Friday. Don't be late. It was raining, that Midwestern drizzle that polishes the roads into mirrors and makes strangers share umbrellas like temporary truces. The Rusted Lantern glowed in neon reds and greens. The wood smelled like 1,000 solved problems and a few unsolved ones. The booths were carved with initials from the Clinton administration. She was there, corner booth, half shadowed by a low amber lamp. Leather jacket over a simple top. Hair loose. The jukebox hummed. She looked at me like she'd been expecting a punchline, and I showed up anyway. Ethan, she said, sliding out of the booth, voice husky in a way that could have been cigarettes or laughter or both. Clara, I answered. Better than your photos. Careful, she said, smiling. You'll ruin my reputation. We sank into the booth. Whiskey arrived without us asking, which meant she'd already ordered it. I was walking into a scene she'd staged. It felt less like a date, and more like a movie that refused to tell you its genre yet. Conversation ricocheted. Albums we'd die on a hill for. Movies we pretend not to love but do. The weird lavender soap our mothers bought in bulk. When she said she'd seen the Stones in '99, I leaned in like a freshman. That show was chaos, she said, eyes gone sly. Couples breaking up mid-chorus. People crying and dancing like the world was ending, because for a lot of us it already had. What ended? I asked. Depends which man you ask, she said. I just changed the channel. Divorce? I said, instantly hating myself for dullness. She didn't flinch. He left. I stayed. That's the story. You want another whiskey? Always. By drink 2, the bar blurred into something that could be home or danger depending on who stood up first. Her fingers brushed mine, and then didn't leave. She had a talent for creating silence that made you want to fill it with confession. I should warn you, she murmured, eyes on the rim of her glass. I don't do the boyfriend-girlfriend costume party. I like nights, not calendars. That sounds like freedom, I said. It sounds like truth, she said, and tossed her whiskey back like a dare. When the bar began to thin, she tapped the table twice. Let's go, she said. I'm not ready to go home alone. Her car was an older black sedan with a faint vanilla and cigarette smell, that perfume of a life that doesn't apologize. She drove one-handed, the other hand tapping her thigh in time to a classic rock station turned down, so low the guitar sounded like a heartbeat. When she braked at a light, she looked at me sideways, like she was measuring what I'd look like as a mistake she could live with. Her house sat in a quiet neighborhood that had gone out of style and therefore become stylish again. Small Victorian bones. Pale green paint peeling at the edges like an old sticker. Porch light a low amber eye. Inside was shadow and wood. Curtains heavy as theater drapes. A fireplace dressed in black and white photographs where people smiled without showing teeth. A record player with a stack of vinyl that could soundtrack a life. And the rug. Cream-colored. Thick and textured like something expensive and a little indecent. In a room full of history, it was the one thing that felt brand new and oddly intimate. It didn't match the paneling, or the photographs, or the room's gravity. It was an exclamation point on a whisper. You live here alone? I asked. Alone now, she said, pouring whiskey without breaking eye contact. The house was part of the settlement. The house wanted to stay with me. She handed me a glass and watched me drink like she was assessing how I handled fire. We migrated to the couch. Our jokes got sloppier and better. The rain turned the windows into a slow movie. She had a way of laughing that slid under your skin and took up residence, a laugh that suggested your worst instincts were just misunderstood. You have a look, she said suddenly, studying me like an art critic who also knew how to fight. Like you're trying to decide if you're lucky to be here or an idiot. Maybe both, I said. Good answer. Kissing her felt like leaning too far over a balcony on purpose. The jacket scratched my forearm. Her hand in my hair. Time folded, the way it does when you're doing something your future self will have questions about. We tumbled toward that soft, glorious cliff where the room blurs and the world narrows to breath and heat. And then my stomach lurched. It wasn't dramatic at first, just a hot wave from nowhere. The whiskey, the rain, the nerves, the fact that I'd eaten a gas station burrito at 4 p.m., all of it did a committee vote and decided to ruin my life. The room tilted 3 degrees. I swallowed hard. Sweat broke out at the back of my neck. Bathroom? I croaked. Down the hall, she said, tipping her chin that way, eyes amused. Don't take the whiskey with you. It's a bad influence. I stood, and the floor gave way. The world quick-zoomed. The taste in my mouth went metallic. I tried a dignified speed walk. I made it 3 steps. Then I vomited. It exploded out of me like my body had been waiting for the most expensive, most inappropriate place on earth to do this. The sound, the heat, the humiliation, all of it landed on the cream rug like a confession I hadn't meant to sign. It wasn't cinematic, it was human and ugly and immediate. The room went silent in a way I've only ever heard twice, that night and a funeral. Clara stood perfectly still. Her face emptied into a mask, no anger yet, no shock, just a complete and perfect quiet. She didn't look at me. She looked at the rug. I'll clean it, I blurted, already reaching for the hem of my shirt like I was going to sacrifice clothing to tree of. Don't, she said. The word landed like glass cracking. She blinked, and when her eyes opened again, they were a different color. Not literally, just the way a storm sky changes the rules for light. You idiot, she said very calmly. Do you have any idea what you just did? My throat tried to explain what my dignity couldn't. Food poisoning, I think. Or that gas station. The one thing in this house, she said, voice rising 1 notch. The one thing that isn't a reminder of him. She inhaled sharp. And you ruined it. I froze. Him hovered in the room like a smell. The divorce, the settlement, the photographs, context clicked together in a shape I didn't recognize but didn't want to meet in an alley. I'm sorry, I said. 2 words that felt microscopic in a room this big. I'll pay for cleaning, replacement, whatever it takes. This is on me. She grabbed a towel from somewhere and dropped to her knees so fast the whiskey sloshed in my stomach again. She dabbed with a ferocity that wasn't about the mess. I took a step forward, and she snapped her head up so fast the room snapped with it. Leave, she said. Clara. Get out. The volume wasn't loud, but it was total. Now. I went. Jacket, keys, apology number 4 or 5 tripping out of my mouth and dying on the doorstep. The rain felt colder on the walk to my car. The vanilla smoke of her sedan had followed me into my head. Now it smelled like a song I'd ruined. For a while, the story was a punchline. Worst date ever material for bar stools and office kitchens. I'd mime the slow-motion stumble. Friends would wince. Someone would say, "On a white rug? Man." And we'd laugh because if you don't laugh at your own ridiculousness, you'll drown in it. I even texted Clara an apology the next day, long and earnest, offering to pay for whatever it needed. She never replied. I figured that was her dignity. Honestly, I respected it. Some messes you don't answer. Life lumbered forward. I got promoted into a chair that did nothing for my posture. I dated a little. I got better at whiskey and worse at late nights. The house, the laugh, the rug, they faded to a shade you only see when the light hits wrong. 9 years later, I was half watching the evening news, the volume low, dinner cooling because YouTube had grabbed me by the throat again, when her face appeared on the screen. It wasn't the Clara I knew. Same bone structure, same green eyes, but drained of the warmth that had made them look like a deal I'd happily take. Her mugshot looked like a photograph that had given up on being flattering and settled for honest. The anchor read the teleprompter like he was ordering coffee. A woman has been arrested after police uncovered a concealed basement in her home containing evidence linked to multiple disappearances. The suspect, 45-year-old Clara Bennett. The room telescoped. I turned the volume up. They showed the house, her house, pale green, porch light and amber eye. Police tape ribboned the front yard. Men in jackets moved like punctuation. Evidence bags. A camera zoomed on the door I had walked through. The words kept falling. Luring young men through dating apps, journals, restraints, forensic analysis indicates. I don't remember standing, but I was standing. My name in my own mouth sounded like someone else's. The reporter kept talking in a tone they must practice in a mirror. In a particularly disturbing detail, investigators say a cream-colored carpet recovered from the living room was confirmed to be constructed from. I slammed the volume down before he said it, like muting a horror banshee will make it less true. But the sentence had already finished inside my head. The rug. The exclamation point in the whisper. The one thing that wasn't a reminder of him. I sat back down because my knees had decided that was best. The room felt tilted 3 degrees again. My throat tasted like pennies. My brain did the time travel it does when it's trying to save your life too late. The vanilla smoke of her car. The way she watched me drink. The blankness before the anger. How careful she'd been not to say his name. How the rug hadn't matched anything else in the house because it hadn't come from the house at all. I told myself 1,000 versions in the weeks after. That she'd bought it from some macabre store and it meant nothing. That news makes monsters out of broken people because monsters make better ratings. That I was overreacting. But then an article would slide past my eyes. Another count added, another journal page quoted. Neighbors talking about men in and out at odd hours. A contractor who swore he'd sealed a door that wasn't there later. It did what stories like this always do. Turned a person into a headline you can't look away from, and you can't quite believe. Friends texted, "Dude, is this?" I told the truth to 3 people and a scaled-down version to everyone else. I stopped telling the barstool version. It didn't make me laugh anymore. Here's the part one keep for late, quiet hours when the apartment is too clean and my phone is face down on purpose. I think the universe occasionally shoves you with a clown glove right before it was about to push you with a knife. I don't know what would have happened if my stomach hadn't staged a coup. Maybe nothing. Maybe I would have fallen asleep on a couch, embarrassed myself in a different way, discover that Clara liked people and pain in equal measure. Maybe we'd have watched a movie, and I'd have left in the morning with a story that never made the news. Or maybe the house would have shown me its basement. I don't drink whiskey at strangers' houses anymore. I still like dive bars and loud guitars. I learned to keep my stomach honest and my exits mapped. When I retell the night now, if I tell it at all, I don't lead with the puke. I lead with the joke. She sat down like a trap disguised as a compliment. Lucky or stupid? She'd asked with her eyes. For years I didn't know the answer. Now I do, and it isn't poetic. It's just a man, a rug, and a body that refused to cooperate at exactly the right time. For most of my 20s, I was the guy your friends call safe. Safe driver, safe jokes. Average build, thinning hair, acne scars. In the summer of 2018, alone in my Akron, Ohio apartment with the AC wheezing, I finally downloaded Tinder. I told myself it was research. Really, it was loneliness. Lena arrived like a glitch in the simulation. Long blonde hair, eyes smile. Out of my league. She messaged first, said she liked my smile, and I did a silent squeal. Within a week we were dmang every hour. By week 2 we were on nightly video calls. She'd laugh, tilt the camera, and say my name like a secret. The flirting never crossed the line, but it warmed the room. After a month she said, "Come visit." She lived outside Mansfield, 8 hours if you obeyed speed limits and dread. The morning I left she texted every half hour. "Where are you? How far? Did you forget me?" It felt clingy cute until it didn't. Reception died on a back road, and she rapid-fired 10 messages. I texted, "Relax, I'm driving. Don't want to crash, lol." She apologized. I believed her. The GPS gave up, and the trees got thick, a green tunnel swallowing sky. Her directions led to a weather-beaten farmhouse with a boarded window and flaking paint like sunburnt skin. A cherry-red Volkswagen Bug crouched by the garage, proof she was real. I texted here. She sent back only a smiley. As I raised my hand to knock, I felt it before I saw it. Someone watching. Second floor window. An old man's face, gaunt, paper white, eyes like damp ashes. We locked eyes. He didn't blink. I tried to make it reasonable. "Your dad's home?" I asked when Lena opened the door and hugged me. She smelled like citrus shampoo and something warmer. Her laugh died. "My dad's in Florida for weeks." The air went cold. She squeezed my wrist. "We need to leave." We sat on the porch steps while I called the police like kids who'd seen a ghost. Flashers arrived, boots thumped. They searched and found only a back door yawning open to the woods. No footprints they cared to believe in. "Lock up and call if you see anything else," one officer said, bored. Night fell hard in those trees. Lena begged me to stay, so we checked the windows, found her dad's shotgun, and camped on the living room floor. She curled against me. There might have been a kiss if fear hadn't elbowed between us. Around 2 a.m. a doorknob upstairs turned with slow, deliberate patience. I crept up, the shotgun heavy, my heart louder than the TV's murmur. Through the kitchen glass I saw him again. The old man in the backyard glow, head tilted, eyes flat as coins. He flinched, then ran for the trees. Cops came, shrugged, advised we stay elsewhere. She went to a friend's. I sat in my car, hands shaking, trying to sound normal while updating my brother. That's when the porch light flicked and the old man stepped into it, like he'd been waiting for my voice to crack. I left in a spray of gravel. We tried a couple more dates, burgers, a movie, hesitant touch. But the house lived between us like an unspoken dare. She never slept there alone again. I deleted Tinder. Some nights I still wake to phantom footsteps at night. Now when my thumb drifts to re-download, I see that window, that face, and the smiley she sent back, a little coin of doom. Hi, gather round, because this one is a public service announcement wrapped in a cautionary tale wrapped in a "Why did I leave my house at 10 p.m. 3 years ago, it's summer, hot girl delusion season. I download Hinge because a friend swears it's for people who actually want relationships. She lied, but that's not today's sermon. I'm swiping like I'm training for the Thumb Olympics, and boom, I recognize a face. Tall, skinny, anime tattoos, skateboarder vibes. In public once he tried to talk to me, but I kept it cute and pushed. On Hinge, it feels less creepy and more fate, so we match and do the little small talk cha-cha for a few days. Day 3, after hours energy. "What you doing?" Me. "On my couch, watching TV, looking expensive." Him. "Pull up, watch something together." Now listen, I'm a cinema girl FR. I like a movie. I also like living. But the way boredom was set up, I say yes. Don't do what I do what I say. Red flag number 1. I Uber myself there. 10 p.m., city buzzing, me in a cute oversized tee, like I'm delivering vibes and boundaries. And the location? The Bronx. Not the brunchy part with murals and oat milk. The guys on the stoop clocking your every step part. I text him like, "Hey, be outside to get me because it's giving I should have worn sneakers and a rosary." He answers, "I know everybody out here, they cool." "Sir, you know them. I am a guest star on this block. I'm the season finale cliffhanger." Red flag number 2. He does not come downstairs promptly. I stand outside marinating in my own poor decisions for 5 long minutes, clutching my purse like it owes me money. I should turn my pretty self around and go home. I do not. He finally appears and we head upstairs. Red flag number 3, darkness. Like total darkness. Every light is off, hallway to apartment, apartment to room. I'm tiptoeing through what feels like a storage unit crossed with a yard sale. The living room gives sound stage for hoarders, season infinity. He whispers, "Sure, my mom's asleep." Girl, the way the word mom body slammed my libido. Suddenly I'm wearing a chastity belt and a turtleneck in July. We get to his room. It's bathed in LED strips set to underwater purple depression. No overhead light. No lamp. Just gamer glow and mystery. I sit in the gaming chair, because beds are for people with dust-free lives and fitted sheets, and give myself a little swirl to survey the scene. Posters, controllers, a plant that died and nobody told it, cords like jungle vines. And then the bucket. A 5-gallon Home Depot situation parked beside the bed like a nightstand with aspirations. My mouth, before my brain clocks in. Haha, what's that? Is that pee? I'm kidding. I am joking. He says, yeah, my fault. I forgot to throw it out. I'm sorry, you're what? He proceeds without irony. I'm on this medication and sometimes I gotta go a lot, so I keep it there so I don't gotta walk down the hall. Sir, you live in an apartment building, not a tundra. The bathroom is not in Narnia through the wardrobe. Also, urine is an aromatic experience. There is no stealth pee bucket. There is only ode to poor choices. NSFW but YouTube friendly aside, this is where the after-hours cuddly-wuddly fantasy turns bald and runs. Because nothing shrivels romance like a personal porta-potty. I'm gagged, emotionally, not literally, we keep it classy, so I go, "Can I use your bathroom?" He guides me back through the LED jungle into a bathroom that greets me with yet another surprise, no doorknob. Just a round hole big enough to make direct eye contact with my own bad judgment. He's like, "We meant to get that fixed." Who is we? You and the pee bucket. He stuffs a wad of newspaper into the hole, like we're patching a ship midstorm. There. Privacy. I hover squat like a Pilates instructor because that porcelain is telling stories, and mid-squat I do a preemptive scan. No toilet paper. None. Not a lonely square. I tell him and he's like, "Oh yeah, forgot to get some." Then hands me, brace yourself, a single sheet of off-brand, wooden siding textured paper towel. Not even Bounty. The kind that exfoliates your soul. At this point the Holy Spirit descends and says, "Daughter, leave." I obey. I emerge, wash my hands for the length of Hamilton Act 1, and put on my, "I'm so sorry, I just remembered" face. Sudden stomach, early morning, sick goldfish. I pulled the whole improv bag. "Can you call me an Uber?" He hesitates. I open Cash App with my thumb hovering like a trigger. Now, we detour back through the living room labyrinth. Mom snores like a low-budget white noise machine. He opens the door. The hallway air feels like freedom and Lysol. I'm already texting my group chat. Update, pee bucket confirmed. Send prayers. Outside, the streetlights look like salvation. The Uber pulls up, and I slide in like I'm escaping a heist gone wrong. In the car, I do a quick forensic audit. Red flags I ignored include 1, late night come over for a first meet. 2, me paying to put myself in danger like it's a theme park. 3, him not meeting me at the door, making me stand outside like a porch gargoyle. 4, darkness as decor. 5, mother in the next room. 6, LED lights masking dust and morality. 7, hoarder aesthetic. 8, the pee bucket, obviously. 9, bathroom doorknob situation with the newspaper DIY. 10, the anti-toilet paper agenda. It's not just gross, it's a suite of boundary issues. If you can't prep your space with basic human decency when a guest is coming over, what do you do when no one's watching? Let me sprinkle a little dating safety seasoning. If someone says come over for the first hang, you're allowed to say, "Totally, let's grab coffee in public first." If you do go, "I'm not your mom, live your life," send the address to a friend, share your location, and have a bailout phrase ready. Also, always listen to your nose. If a room hits you with a scent profile called the yellow wallpaper, that is a literal canary in the coal mine. And if the canary is a bucket, girl, run. Let me set the scene. Hinge. He's cute on paper, enthusiastic texter, can spell your, claims he wants an activity for the first date because I'm competitive. Translation, he bowls 230 and wants a highlight reel. I say, if it's competition, make it fair, candle making? He laughs, promises to look into it, and then hits me with, "Still want to see you this weekend, though." He suggests the Pratt Institute Sculpture Park. Now, you know me, a park date is just cardio disguised as romance. But I figure maybe he's got a picnic planned or a surprise element. Music, something. Fine. I give him the benefit of the doubt and my cutest sneakers. I arrive. He's there, and his eyes are red. Not allergy season red. We pre-game the date with a cloud red. Red flag number 1 arrives baked and smiling. He goes in for charm anyway, asks where I'm from, what I do, all the icebreakers, and then mid-sentence drops. What was your earliest trauma? Sir? We're sitting on a bench near an abstract metal thing that looks like a paperclip on steroids. We are not in a therapist's office, and your copay doesn't cover this. My lips literally clock out. NSFW but YouTube-friendly truth. Nothing dries up a flirty vibe faster than a pop quiz about childhood wounds. He asks if he can kiss me. I say no. This isn't a date. Because, reminder, walking around a college campus without a plan is not courtship, it's urban wandering. He nods, then says, "You're not easily impressed." And I, ever the diplomat, smile and think, "Impress me then." He does not. We part ways. Later that night I'm out with friends, the cure for underwhelming men, and he texts, "We have a table at Little Sister. Pull up." I do the group chat vote. We're already out, we're cute, why not? We slide through. Their section is a chaos aquarium, lights, bass, elbows. Within minutes, 3 drinks accidentally baptize my dress. Sticky isn't a fabric, but it is a feeling. I perch up on the back of the couch, feet on the cushions, trying not to cry over the scented syrup soaking my outfit. He's on the other side, sees the open spot next to me, and decides to Spider-Man over the couch like we're filming a stunt. He miscalculates the landing, and falls. Fully. Back first, arms pinwheeling, straight onto a floor that feels like it's been glazed with Red Bull and old decisions. My mouth forms the perfect O of polite horror. If you've been to Little Sister, you know that floor is where dignity goes to nap. Our Uber arrives mercifully soon after, and the girls and I vanish like somebody yelled closing time. Okay. Day 3. The dinner date he promised as the real attempt. We originally floated noon, brunch energy, sunlight, sanity. He sends a residential for 7 p.m. on a Sunday instead. Red flag number 2. Schedule whiplash that magically steers into night mode. I still show up, because I believe in second chances the way toddlers believe in Santa. He is 20 minutes late. No text. Red flag number 3 arrives fashionably. He breezes in with that overconfident, performance actor persona some men wear like cologne. He asks a question, then talks over my answer, building a version of me in his head he can flirt with better. She laughs louder, eats spicier, kisses easier. It's like he's dating the trailer, not the film. We're at Korean barbecue, one of my love languages. The waitress snips the first round of beef. Steam rises. My inner child, burned roof survivor, has learned. I blow lightly. He smirks. It's not even that hot. I go jokey. Let me eat my food. 3 harmless words. But somehow, that's the pivot where the date's soul leaves its body. He starts texting under the table, scrolling like the timeline will feed him better conversation than I do. Red flag number 4, petty punishment mode. Then we detour into calories. I throw out a silly line. Calories aren't real, because the way we obsess over them in the wild is largely nonsense. He goes full TED Talk defense attorney for big calorie. Not a discussion, a verbal wedgie. He talks to me like I've never met a label. The energy? Weirdly personal. The subtext? Body stuff he hasn't made friends with yet, and now I'm the sparring partner he didn't tell me I was auditioning to be. Our server returns. 5 minutes earlier we agreed. We're full but down to look at dessert. He looks up and barks, check. Abrupt. Rude. Then, plot twist, dessert comes with the meal. We can't skip it without wasting money, so we stay, pick at something sweet that tastes like disappointment, and push plates away. He stands up outside with a "My Uber's about to be here." No walk to the train, no text me you got home safe. Just take care. Like a customer service sign-off. I say, you too, because my mother taught me manners even when men don't. Then I decide, with the fiery clarity that only a half-eaten dessert and a late man can give you, never again.